Okay, get your notebooks ready. In this lesson, we're focusing on the present perfect tense, what it looks like, how to use it, and when to use it. Hello, I'm Emma from English. If you don't feel confident using the present perfect tense in English yet, there's probably a few reasons why. There's those nasty irregular verbs in past participle form. Or maybe you feel unsure about when to use the present perfect and when to use the past simple tenses. Even if you're quite good at using the present perfect tense in English, it's definitely worth reviewing this tense to jog your memory. That expression means to remind yourself. So are you ready to start? Grab a notepad and a pen and let's go over this beautiful tense right now so that you can feel more confident using it. Oh, and if you can think of a friend who needs to review this tense too, make sure you share this lesson with them. Click the share button just underneath this video. They'll thank you for it. First thing, the grammatical structure. What does it look like? Well, it looks like this. Subject, have or has, and your main verb in past participle form. So the subject, you already know this. You can use a proper noun or a pronoun. I, she, they. In the perfect tenses, the verb have is an auxiliary verb. It's a helping verb. It's not the main verb in the sentence. And that means that it's usually unstressed and often contracted when spoken. So she has becomes she's. I have becomes I've. But I'll talk more about that soon. But then comes the main verb. In the present perfect tense, the main verb is in past participle form, not in past simple form. Now, this is no problem for regular past tense verbs. For regular verbs, the past participle form is the same as the simple past. So you just need to add ed. Watch in the present tense becomes watched in past simple, and it's also watched in past participle form. Laugh becomes laughed and is also laughed. Dance, danced, danced. Call, called, called. And even some irregular verbs use the same verb for past simple as the past participle form. Have in the present tense becomes had in the simple past, and it's also had as a past participle. Easy, right? Win, won, won. But these really irregular verbs are the ones that cause all of the headaches, because there are 3 different forms that you need to remember. Go in the present tense becomes went in the past simple, and in the past participle form, it's been or gone. Some more examples. Fly, flew, flown. Throw, threw, thrown. Do, did, done. Become, became, become. Speak, spoke, spoken. I'm sure you can think of many more examples, but with these verbs, there's no pattern, there's no rule to follow. You just need to memorize the past participle form. But keep an eye out for my next video next week, which will help you to practice and memorize these past participle forms of irregular verbs. In fact, if you subscribe to this channel, click the red button here, then you'll find out as soon as it's ready. But to use the present perfect tense well, you may need to polish up on some useful irregular English verbs and remind yourself about their past participle form. But let's get back to the structure. You have the subject, you have or has, and our past participle verb. I have asked my parents to loan me some money. You have been really helpful today. They have flown to the capital to meet with the officials. He has saved enough money to buy a car. She has forgotten where her hotel is. Now, in this structure, often have and has are contracted to v and s. I've asked, you've been, they've flown, he's saved, she's forgotten. Got it? Good. So when should you use the present perfect tense? Well, when there is a connection between the present and the past. Think of it like a bridge that's connecting the present and the past. For example, when something started in the past and continues in the present. They've been married for 3 years. You can use it to talk about an activity that you've done several times in the past and that you continue to do now. She has read many books and she'll probably read more. You can also use the present perfect to talk about life experience. He hasn't travelled overseas before. Now, before I give you some more examples, let's talk about when to use the past simple tense and the present perfect tense, because this is often the confusing part about this tense. To answer this question, you need to think about time. Finished time and unfinished time. So think about last week. That's a good example of finished time. Last week is finished, it's over. But what about this week? Is this week finished? No, not yet. That's an example of unfinished time. There's still more of this week to come. It's not finished yet. Yesterday, last week, last month, last year, 1991, these are all examples of finished time, time that is complete. When you're talking about a time period that has finished, like these, you need to use the past simple. But when you're talking about a time period that is unfinished, like today, this week, this year, this month, use the present perfect tense. So let's compare some examples. Last month, I visited my brother 3 times. This month, I have visited my brother twice. But the month isn't finished yet and I may visit him again. Try an example with me. He borrowed my car yesterday. So this sentence is in the past simple. It's finished time. Now try to change it to the present perfect yourself. What do you need to do? 2 things. You need to add the auxiliary verb. He has, not have. It changes because our subject is he. He has borrowed my car today or this week. We need to change the time expression too for our sentence to work in the present perfect tense. It must be unfinished time. Okay, so those were all examples of the present perfect in positive sentences. But what about negative forms? Of course, we need to add not to our sentence, to our structure. Subject plus have or has plus not, and then our past participle verb. So compare these sentences. Last month, I visited my brother 3 times. This month, I haven't visited him at all. But the month isn't over yet. I may still visit him. Again, see that this structure is usually contracted in spoken English. Haven't. This is the most common way to contract the negative form, but you may also hear people say, I've not visited him. Both ways are acceptable, but you can't contract all 3 words together. I'ven't. You can't do that. It's one contraction or the other. Another example. He ate so much yesterday. Notice the time word that we're using. So in present perfect, negative, we can say he hasn't eaten a lot today. But there's still more day, so he could eat more food. One more example. They were at school yesterday. In the present perfect, they haven't been at school all morning. But the day's not finished yet and they may arrive in the afternoon. Of course, you need to ask present perfect questions too, right? As with all English question forms, our auxiliary verb needs to change position. So we have and has, our subject, and our past participle verb. Has he cleaned the bathroom? Have you eaten enough? Has it rained today? Have they finished yet? Now compare these 2 questions. Did you go to Thailand last year? This is a past simple question, so the auxiliary verb do takes the tense. It becomes did. But now compare it to, have you been to Thailand? This means at any time in the past. It's your life experience. But of course, you're still alive, so you may go in the future. The difference is the time reference. There is a lot to think about when using the present perfect tense, right? But I hope that this lesson made everything a little easier, especially the basics. If you're clear on the basics, it's a good thing. Make sure that you're subscribed to the English channel because the next few lessons that I make will help you to practice using the present perfect tense. You don't want to miss them. Just click that red subscribe button just there. You can watch more English lessons right here, or you can improve your pronunciation and your English speaking skills by practicing with the imitation technique right here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye for now.